Well, let's go ahead and read it. Matthew chapter 4. And we're going to start in verse 18. Okay? And it says this. And Jesus was walking by the Sea of Galilee, and he saw two brothers, Simon, called Peter, and Andrew his brother, casting a net into the sea, for they were fishermen. Then he said to them, Follow me, and I will make you fishers of men. They immediately left their nets and followed him. Going on from there, he saw two other brothers, James the son of Zebedee, and John his brother, in the boat, with Zebedee their father, mending their nets. And he called them, and immediately they left the boat, and their father, and they followed him. All right? So, last week, we began this thought of follow me. Remember, we started with come and see. We learned a little bit about who God is, what he's all about, who we are, and then what God did for us. And now Jesus is walking by this sea, and he sees these men fishing, these four men, two at one point and two at another point, and he throws out these two words, follow me. All right? And then he says something after that, I'll make you fishers of men, which we're going to talk about later on down the line. But we want to focus on those two words, follow me. All right? We began to churn on that a little bit last week, chew on that a little bit, and begin to talk a little bit about Christ calling them to follow him. And tonight I want us to begin to really talk about understanding what that call is really all about. Okay? Because in our culture, in our society today, following Jesus is you going to youth camp and saying a prayer and coming home and getting baptized, and you're automatically following Jesus. Okay? That's our culture today. Our culture teaches us that that is what it really means to follow Jesus. But what we want to begin to understand is that Jesus' thought and understanding of following me is completely different than our culture believes. Okay? Totally opposite of that. Jesus has a deep thought when it comes to this truth of follow me. Okay? He wants it to go to a whole new level. Okay? All right, so one thing that's been in the news a lot lately is Kanye West. Okay, I don't need everybody to talk. Okay, but some of you know who Kanye West is.
Yes.
Some of you don't. Okay, but just a little background: Kanye West was a bad dude, and his music was very explicit. Bad music, bad words. You wouldn't want to listen to it. Anything like that. Okay. Well, then all of a sudden, a couple weeks ago, it begins to come out that this guy Kanye West, who one time when Taylor Swift won an award, he jumped up on the stage and took the microphone away from her and basically said, "You don't deserve this award, you suck." He did that.
He said Beyonce or somebody deserved it.
Yeah, Beyonce or somebody. He also proclaimed, "I am God."
Yeah.
Okay, this is Kanye West. Well, Des and I were watching a story about him. She was watching, I was listening, on Friday night, a YouTube video, and it was about this pastor that is the one that's discipling him. Okay? And he begins to tell the story about these people that went to this guy's church, who was a white guy, he's a white pastor, and these people worked for Kanye West, and Kanye began to ask some questions, and some things were going on, and eventually Kanye came to his church, and sat in the back, and he didn't know it at first, and then he came again. Well, then he began this conversation with this pastor, and he tells this pastor that he got radically saved, and his life completely got changed by Jesus. And so the pastor begins to talk to him and say, well, let's kind of figure out and understand if you really know what you're talking about. Okay? Well, long story short, this has been going on about a year, but we're just now starting to hear about it. Okay? Which to me is kind of cool. Right? So now he has this whole new album that it's called Jesus is King. Now, it's not my type of music. I can't tell you that I like the type of music. But I can tell you this, that the songs, that's really disgusting, that the songs that are on that album are glorifying to Jesus. The songs that are on the album are glorifying to Jesus. All right? So why do I say that? I say that because of this. That's what God does. God takes a person who is the most wretched individual, who is completely anti-God. Everything he does is anti-God. Everything he says is vulgar. And God comes in and he changes the heart and makes you a complete new creation. And now everything that comes out of you is God-honoring. Or at least, not everything, but is moving you towards that. That is God-honoring. And that is a picture of following Jesus. Okay? This man, Kanye West, and it may come out in a couple years that it was all just a hoax. It was all just fake. Okay? But right now it looks genuine. And hearing the pastor talk, that the pastor is discipling him and helping him understand and helping him grow and helping him figure things out, it seems really legit. It seems real. Okay? But that's what God does. God comes and He doesn't just say, hey, I want you to walk down an aisle and pray a prayer and then go back and continue to speak vulgar. I don't want you just to come and walk down an aisle and pray a prayer and then continue to go back and do the things you're doing with your boyfriend or girlfriend. He doesn't say, I want you to come and walk down an aisle and pray a prayer and ask me to be your Savior and then go back to class and treat your teachers like crap. No, He says, I want you to come to me and I want you to surrender your life to me and I want you to follow me and then I want you to go back and I don't want you to talk vulgar anymore. Because that's what it looks like to follow Jesus. I don't want you to go back and do those things with that guy or girl anymore. I don't want you to go back and treat your teacher like crap anymore. Because that's what it looks like to follow Jesus. And we have this whole concept and this whole idea in America that we pray a prayer and we receive Jesus and then we can live how we want. And that's not what it means to follow Jesus. Okay? And that's what we want to begin to understand. So when Jesus came to these men and said, hey, follow me. When He said, hey, follow me, this wasn't some light thing He was asking them to do. This wasn't something easy He was asking them to do. Was it? Okay? But see, we've made it easy in America. And all you got to do is pray a prayer and you're going to go to heaven. And I want you to understand that that's not truth. Okay? Now you can say a prayer and be saved. But Jesus' call to you and to me is way deeper than that. And it's way more extensive than that. Alright? So when Jesus called these guys to follow Him, what was He calling them to do? If they were going to follow Him, what were they going to have to do? Okay, they were going to have to be like Him. Okay, that's true. But that's not going to happen right away, right? Okay? So let's take what Carly's saying. To get to that point of being like Jesus, what are they going to have to do to follow Jesus?
Ask for forgiveness.
Okay, yes, they're going to have to ask for forgiveness. What? Practice. Know who He is. Commit. Okay. Okay, y'all are saying some things, but y'all are missing some things. Think about their lives.
They have to change their mental.
Okay.
Hang around better people like this.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Jesus said, "Follow me." All right. Now, what does the next verse say? Because here's what I want to get you to see. Verse 19 or verse 20. What does verse 20 say? Immediately they left their nets and they followed Jesus. Okay? Listen. Immediately they left their nets and they followed Jesus. So when Jesus called them to follow Him, in order to follow Jesus, they had to leave something behind.
They had to leave all the stuff that they caught. They had to leave all the what they were working on.
They had to leave it all behind,
They
right?
had to leave it all behind.
Okay. It doesn't say that they took a few days and they kind of chose some things they wanted to keep and some they wanted to get rid of. It says that they what?
Immediately
Left their nets and they followed Jesus. All right. So what Jesus is saying is that to follow Him, we have to leave some things behind, right? But we don't like to leave things behind, do we? Especially not what? Your phone. Okay? We want to follow Jesus. We want to say, Jesus, I want to follow you, but Jesus, I want this to go with me. Right? Is that true?
Yeah, you might go have
Okay. Can you range it?
Yeah.
All right. All right. So let's be honest. We all of us in this room probably right now would say, I want to go to heaven. Right? That I want to go to heaven. But how many of us in this room would be honest enough to say, yes, I want to go to heaven, but there still are some things that I like and I don't really want to get rid of. I mean, let's be honest.
Yeah, you don't want to leave behind your family. You don't want to leave behind your friends. You don't want to leave your dad.
Okay. All right. So we have don't want to leave behind family, don't want to leave behind friends, all that stuff. So in this story, We have James and John that encounter Jesus, and Jesus says, "Follow me." And the Bible says that they're fishing with their dad. And so they, when to follow Jesus, they had to leave their nets and leave their dad behind to follow
But the daddy
Jesus.
came.
Okay? Nope.
Did they go with it?
Nope. All right?
He left his father.
I
So,
think they're fathers.
so let me ask you this question. Let me ask you this question. Now listening? What are the nets in your life that keep you from following Jesus? Because their net was their career. Okay? They were
It's how
fishermen.
they live.
Okay? It's how they lived. It's how they provided for their family. Okay? They had to leave it all behind in order to follow Jesus. What are some things that are holding you back from really following Jesus? Think about it. What are some things in your life that are really holding you back from really committing to follow Jesus?
Like,
Friends.
I was supposed to say that. Doing what your
Okay.
friends want to do, like
Okay.
doing what you know is right and doing it anyway.
Okay? So, friends keep us from following Jesus like we should, right?
Yeah.
Okay?
We start cutting y'all off.
So,
That's true.
By the tens.
I'm only friends.
so,
She said she's done with y'all.
so why do friends, listen, why do friends have such control over us?
Because they're like you're like close to each
And then,
other.
like, some people feel like they're ashamed to tell their friends, like, "Oh, I'm Christian, I don't want to do that stuff," because then they feel like they're
Because
gonna
they
cut them
can
off.
cut,
They're gonna cut you off. That's what they feel like.
It's tempting.
It's like peer pressure.
I understand. Okay, but boom, drop the mic, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Truth bomb, yeah. All right. So friends. Okay. So here's. Sorry. So here's what I want you to understand. You're not going to lose a friend just because you go to youth camp and you walk down an aisle and pray a prayer.
Walk down prayer.
Listen. Listen.
You're not gonna lose a real friend.
Okay. You're not going to lose a friend for that. But
Yeah.
if you really begin to start living out what the Bible teaches you and really begin to follow Jesus, you're
Maybe-
probably going to lose some
Yeah,
friends.
but maybe some friends that see like, oh, I like what they're doing. I see that this is the right
Real
way to do
friends.
stuff.
You
They're
might.
hitting the right path.
You
They
might.
might want to stay with you. And be
True.
like, oh,
That's true. That's true. But the majority of people, especially teenagers, will say, yeah, I can walk down an aisle, I can pray a prayer, I can go up front and I can get baptized. But the day-to-day living out following Jesus, not so much, because I don't want to lose this friend. Because I know if I really begin to stop gossiping at the lunch table, if I stop talking about boys with my friends or girls with my friends, or if I stop doing some of the things that they always do, then I'm going to lose that friend, right? Right? That's what it means to follow Jesus, is to begin to live by the commands of God. Right? To begin to live by His Word. Because when we're following Jesus, we're called not to follow a set of rules, but we're called to follow a person. We're called to follow a person. And that person is who? Jesus, right? That person is Jesus. And so if we're called to follow a person, that means we're called to have a what with Jesus?
Relationship.
A relationship. Thank you. Okay? Damn, shot that one.
Boom.
Okay, didn't wait. Didn't hesitate. Okay? But how many of us, our relationship with our friend, our boyfriend, our girlfriend, our social media friends,
I think all
how many of us, those relationships are more important to us than our relationship with Jesus? If we're honest. If we're really honest. Okay?
That was his first thing.
That's true.
Yeah.
Okay, so what you're telling me, but listen, what you're telling me is that you understand it here. Okay, you understand it here. But if I were to look at your life and watch your life, is your life showing that you're following Jesus or following your friends?
most people follow them.
What did you say, Raylan?
I don't follow my friends.
Oh, you don't follow your friends?
No,
Okay. All right. So, let's turn Let's turn in the Bible to, what's the next one? Matthew what? 8?
21.
Matthew what?
4:21. You not gonna read that? Matthew
No.
16, 24 through 27.
Matthew 16.
6. Oh, I had already been turned to that.
Matthew who?
Matthew.
Verse 24.
Can I read it?
Okay?
No, I want to read.
Can I read it?
Yes, ma'am. Hold on just a second.
I
So
can't read.
Matthew 16, verse 24. Reese, read through verse 27. Read it real loud for everybody here.
Then Jesus said to his disciples, "If anyone desires to come after me, let him deny himself and take up his cross and follow me. For whoever desires to save his life will lose it, but whoever loses his life for my sake will find it. For what profit is it to a man if he gains the whole world and loses his own soul? Or what will a man give in exchange for his soul? For the Son of Man will come in the glory of his Father with his angels, and then he will reward each according to his deeds."
Okay, who's talking here? Jesus.
It's in red, yeah.
Jesus is speaking.
It's in quotations.
All right, because it was in red. That's right. Okay. If you have read the Bible. Okay. So Jesus says this. Here's what we need to understand. Jesus says in Matthew chapter 4, "Follow me, and I'll make you fishers of men." All right. So now we come to Matthew chapter 16, and Jesus says this: "If anyone desires to come after me," it's the same word. Follow me. It's the same word. Okay, in Greek. And it says, "Let him do what?" What does it say? What does it say here? You gotta read it. Let him do what?
Hold on. Wait.
It's on the.
Now, I asked y'all a question. You not looking.
Let him deny himself.
You have to do what?
Deny yourself.
Deny yourself. Okay, and then do what?
Take up your cross.
And then do. Okay, so Jesus says this to his disciples: "Hey, follow me, and I'll make you fishers of men." What's he saying? He's saying, "Come after me, chase after me, walk with me, get to know me, fellowship with me, become more like me. Let me change your life." But if you really want to experience a close, intimate, personal relationship with me, if you really want to follow me, then you have to do this. You have to deny yourself. Okay? You have to deny yourself. Okay? That's hard. Okay? It's easy. Like I said, it's easy for us to say a prayer, but it's hard for us to live it. And when Jesus says, "Follow me," he's saying this: deny yourself. Understand that what you desire, what you want, is not important. Because it doesn't matter in the grand scheme of things. Begin to seek the things of God. Deny yourself. Then it says, take up your cross daily. Okay? Why would he say that? Why would he say that?
To get closer to him.
What did Jesus do?
Died on the cross.
He took up his cross, right?
Yeah.
Okay? So that means that he died. So us taking up our cross means that we're what? We have to die. Right? If Jesus wants to live in us,
we have to die.
if we want Jesus to reign in our hearts, then we got to die. Okay?
Well, at least we'll be up there with God.
And I'm not, okay? So
No,
let me,
die
but-
as a sinner.
Oh.
thank you. It's not a physical, it's spiritual. Okay? It's a spiritual. We have to kill and crucify our desires and who we are if we want to know Jesus. Okay? If we really want to follow Jesus. Because listen, following Jesus is not natural to us. It's not natural to us. Because if you're like me, you have a lot of things that you love and enjoy, right? And you want to experience those things, right? I mean, I know when I was a teenager, I went to church. I grew up in church. But when I was about my junior year in high school, is when the Lord really began to get a hold of my heart. But before that, I just went to church to go to church. And I said I was a Christian, but I wasn't living anything out. But it was when I was a junior in high school, that God really began to get a hold of my heart and began to change some things. And the way that I talked began to change. The people I hung around began to change. The things that I listened to began to change. The things that I watched began to change. the things that I did on Friday and Saturday nights began to change. Because God got a hold of my heart and I wanted to follow Him. And so in order to really follow Jesus, I had to begin to deny myself of those things that I had been seeking after and loving and living for my whole life. And so to follow Jesus may mean this for you, that you have to quit pursuing a relationship with a guy or girl. Because that's what your whole world's wrapped up in. Because you can't feel satisfied or confident without a relationship with a guy or girl. And instead of allowing God to fill your heart, you're allowing that guy or that girl to fill your heart. And so that may be part of following Jesus to you. I mean, does that make sense? Okay? So following Jesus is all about us coming to a place where we realize that I need Jesus, and in order to really know Jesus, I can't continue to be the same person I've been. Okay? Some of you have been baptized. Some of you have gone before and been baptized, right? Right? If you've gone before the church and you've been baptized, when you walked out of that water,
Rose out of the water.
when you rose out of the water, okay, and you went to school the next day, was your life any different? That's what it means. That's what it means to follow Jesus. There's something that's different. Okay? All right. What time is it?
Oh, it's 7:52.
Oh.
Thursday, get back up.
Okay, well, we'll finish some more about this next week. There's more that I want to talk about. We got to go because we're being distracted.
We have to pray.
And we got to pray.
Reese will.
No, not. Jaden wants to.
Okay.
I will not pray. I'm not with that.
Okay, Reese, go ahead. Reese is going to pray.
Jesus, thank you for this night you've given us to offer the church tonight and praise you. And thank you for Brother Kelly teaching us his message. And I pray that it goes in our daily lives. In Jesus' name.
Amen. Hey, put your chairs up. Hey, Sarah, be quiet.
Take my chair too.